Honorable Minister of State for Culture and Minister of State for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Dr. Mahesh Sharma, Madam Shobhana Kamineni, President of the CII, Mr. Panjiv Puri, CEO and Executive Director, ITC Limited, and Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General, CII. Honorable Minister, first of all, please allow me to congratulate you on your appointment as Minister of State for Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And we had an opportunity to exchange a few words. This is an extremely challenging and important portfolio, but as well very rewarding, because now the whole world is talking about issues related to environment and climate change. And Mr. Honorable Minister, allow me to express a very strong commitment and willingness of the European Union to step up our already excellent cooperation with India in the field falling into your portfolio. And let me also thanking CII very warmly for the opportunity for the European Union to partner for this year's Sustainable Summit. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the two important international agreements of 2015, the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, aspire to nothing less than transforming our world. This summit could not have been more relevant and significant in a context where all 193 countries all over the world are committed to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, along with its 169 targets and around 300 indicators to evaluate the achievement. Today, the current time represents an opportunity to reconfirm our commitment to the 2030 Agenda, its global goals and the targets. And these targets and goals are not just transformative, but in fact invite all of us, and in particular India and the European Union, to participate in the paradigm shift, to step out our comfort zones and to examine new solutions and new ways of doing business together. Businesses are at the core of implementation of 2030 Agenda, the clean energy transition and the climate commitment. In Europe, we have seen how renewable energy from offshore wind has become a competitive energy supply due to the early movers in business who have led the way for innovative technologies and financial models. The importance of innovation and technology transfer as a real game changer for inclusive growth has to be highlighted. As relevant technologies become available at scale, cost will come down, enabling climate policies to become more ambitious. This has been our experience in Europe, and I'm convinced that this is the case for India as well. That's why I'm really happy that this summit is organized by the CII, one of the biggest and the most prestigious business organizations in India. This is another confirmation of the direct engagement of private sector in the implementation of Agenda 2030 and a climate change agenda. Dear friends, the EU is well advanced when it comes to implementing our climate commitments. Our 2030 climate and energy framework, which form the basis for our nationally determined contributions, is designed to reduce emissions at least by 40% by 2030 compared to 1990 and by 80–95% by 2050. At the same time, our target is to improve energy efficiency by 27% and to reach 27% share in renewable energy. These targets are extremely ambitious and will not be easy to achieve them, but we are committed to go ahead along this path. And in this context, I would like to underline that India is a very important partner for the European Union as one of the growing economies that will reshape the global economy in the 21st century. India, with its ambitious economic model and economic plans, will be more and more important partner at the global arena, including for the European Union. And I'm really proud that our bilateral trade has more than doubled in the last decade, making the European Union India's #1 trade and investment partner as of now. Two-way trade in goods and services already crossed a line of 100 billion euros. While talking about investments, in 2015, we calculated cumulative investments from Europe to India for more than 50 billion euros. And at the same time, we are happy that 16 billion euros were invested by Indian companies in Europe as well. But at the same time, equally, India is a key partner for Europe when it comes to climate action, an area where we see large opportunities for increased cooperation, trade and investment, technology cooperation, science and innovations. We are already collaborating effectively in the international arena. The EU and India are partnering on concrete renewable energy initiatives on the ground. And the European Investment Bank has already provided loans and credit lines for more than 1.5 billion euros to support implementation of energy and climate-related projects in India. During the EU-India summit in March 2016, Prime Minister Modi and the European leaders agreed on a clean energy and climate partnership. This is a tool, a platform through which we want to step up our cooperation. The partnership brings together all relevant stakeholders, European and Indian governments and institutions, EU member states and Indian states, businesses and civil society. The partnership facilitates policy dialogue, brings back best practices, business solutions, and joint research and innovation, and looks at financing models for clean energy and climate change. The reason for designing the partnership like this is our firm belief that all, both public and private stakeholders, need to pull their weight to achieve the goals we have set ourselves. Tomorrow, as it was mentioned, we will have our India-EU Clean Energy and Climate Conclave with 4 thematic workshops. And I warmly invite all of you to take part and help further strengthening the EU-India partnership in this area. But climate change and energy is not the only one partnership our leaders decided to establish. We have established a similar EU-India partnerships on sustainable water solutions and clean Ganga, on circular economy, on air quality. And we are in the process of discussing a similar partnership on smart and sustainable urbanization. All these areas are very important for the implementation of SDG goals and climate change agendas. Dear friends, we all know that the path to progress is sometimes slow and there remains a lot to achieve. But with the encouraging participation and agenda for this Sustainable Summit, and with the great collaboration we have been able to establish, I'm certain that we will progress fast and steady in achieving in achieving all that we have set out to do. Honourable Minister, dear friends, the entire European Union, including its businesses, stand committed to stepping up our partnership with India on the sustainability, clean energy and climate agendas. And I'm convinced that at the next EU-India summit, scheduled to take place later this year, the European and Indian leaders will reconfirm both sides' commitments and give new impetus to collaboration on the international and bilateral scenes for a clean energy transition, cooperation on technology, on finance, joint research and innovation, implementation of SDGs and climate commitments. That's why, once again, allow me to underline the importance of a joint partnership between the governments and private sector, because without private sector commitment, we are not in position to implement our ambitious goals, both on the Indian and European side. And I see a very wide room for cooperation between European and Indian businesses, and we, as a representative of the governments, we are ready to facilitate, and we are interested to facilitate this process. Dear friends, I wish you all a very fruitful, sustainable summit with concrete and constructive conclusions. Thank you very much.